I'm Chris.
And I'm Kiley. And this is Redefining Resilience,
where we explore what it means to build a resilient lifestyle
so you can thrive in any and every situation.
All right, what are we talking about today? Movement and the rule of thirds.
Okay, yes.
All right, so movement and the rule of thirds. Rule of thirds, I heard from an Olympic weightlifting athlete. She said her coach brought it up, and I thought, man, this is going to be a good one. This will be goofy. And the more she talked, the more I was totally entranced with this. She explained how the rule of thirds works, and it's a third of the time we have a great lift. A third of the time it is awesome. Everything feels light. The body feels good. Movement feels fluid. The joints feel great. Everything is rocking and rolling. A third of the time, it's okay. Things kind of hurt. Not really great. Not really horrible. Just smack dab right there at okay. And then a third of the time it sucks. Everything feels heavy. My joints hurt. My body hurts. My back hurts. My mind isn't in it. I just feel off. And I thought, well, shit, that makes sense. Like, that's really cool. That alone I thought was very powerful. And then she elaborated even farther, and I thought this was absolutely fantastic. If you do not have the bottom third, you do not understand the top third. You have to have the shit to understand the awesome, because you have no basis of understanding of awesome without a basis of understanding of the shit. And the more I thought about this, I thought, man, this is great in my lifting life. This is great as in regards to the pounds on the bar and the way my body feels under pressure.
Well, I think it's applicable for anything.
Exactly. It applied to my weightlifting life, but the more I thought about it, it was, you know what, this is great with my relationships. This is great with the dogs. This is great with our business. This rule of thirds applies to absolutely everything in my life. And the more I think about it, the more it's, of course that's real. I can't always have awesome, and I can't always have shitty. And so I have a rule of thirds in everything in my life, and it's absolutely transformed my way of thinking.
Well, I think you have to just take a step back and realize that applies to an emotional perspective too. I mean, what you're saying is your emotions in the gym, but I mean, think about anything that you do. I mean, in business, I feel like I'm having awesome days and winning a third of the time, and then another third of the time I just feel like I am a failure. And it's not like I want to quit and give up, but it's like, yeah, I'm not flying high today. And then there's most days where I feel like I'm right there in the middle, where it's not good, it's not bad. It's, I'm moving through the motions and getting shit done. But I was telling Alex at Girl Scout camp, yes, we go to adult Girl Scout camp every year. It's great. It's a fundraiser that Girl Scouts puts on. Highly recommend. But I was telling Alex at Girl Scout camp, I had a really friggin' productive day that day. I just got stuff done. I found clarity on some projects that I needed resolution for. And, I was just knocking things out left and right. And I felt good that day. But I have far fewer days like that than I do where I'm like, man, I feel behind. We have to recognize that those days where we feel behind, it's actually motivating me to do the things that get me into the place of feeling great.
So one really wacky thing we do as humans is we assume that there's going to be this, like, we're going to work really, really hard or invest all our time in this one thing, and we're going to find a net zero. Or like, we'll reach a point in time where everything is easy.
No, it doesn't happen.
Not only does that not happen, you don't want it to happen. Because let's look at things holistically. If we removed all bad things in life, would we have only good things?
No, we'd just be like numb.
Exactly.
I think.
We would be numb because there would be no clarity between good and bad. If there's no clarity between good and bad, we don't have all good or all bad. We have nothing. Like, that's powerful to me. And I tend to just dive really deep into things and just think about it like crazy. So I went really hard down this rabbit hole.
It's called hyperfocus. Welcome to being ADHD.
Yeah. So that's part of the reason I have to be careful with how much stimulus I take in, because it's like, oh my God, why does the month not have 28 days? Because it would be totally logical if it did. Like, you just can't go down those rabbit holes, you know? But that's a fascinating one if you want to go down it.
No,
but,
we're not.
You just can't. You can't have a net zero. You can't have this world of utopia.
Well, and I think of it as neutral. I think if our home base is neutral, where it's not good or bad, it's peaceful. Because I think of neutral as peaceful, meaning there's nothing that's exciting me, but I'm content, I'm happy, I'm joyful, I'm at peace, which if I'm at peace, I'm accepting whatever comes my way. I'm accepting that this isn't a super high day and it's not a super low day. It's creating equanimity in my life that allows me to stay at this place of peace. If peace is my home base and net neutral is where peace lives, like, that is a great way to think about the most majority of the time that we stay in a neutral place, right? But if everything is bad, if you're interpreting everything that happens to you as bad, you're going to start to become depressed. You're going to start to look at things as glass half empty. Your optimism is going to dwindle. You are not going to feel peace.
Well, and it's really easy if you assume that at some point in time everything will be easy, any negative will be very detrimental. So if we look at the human body, I think the human body is absolutely fascinating. I have an athlete coming in later today. I worked with an athlete a couple of times, had a torn hamstring, and his process was, how do I get back on the field? Okay, fantastic. How do you get back on the field? So we work loosening his hips, creating a better availability so he can move better to equal the outcome that he wants. So in order to do that, we have to understand the variables that we're taking in. Good, yes, good would be we can move better to accomplish the goal. Are we going to remove all negatives, all possible problems, and all potential injuries with this? Absolutely not. The bad still exists. What we're doing is making ourselves more available for the good and coming back from the bad faster. So if anybody ever tells you they can remove all pain or problems or potential injuries, they are lying to you. Not only are they lying to you, you don't want that. You have to have stress. Stress is how the body grows. Stress is important. Stress is also data. Your body gives you data through pain. If you do not have pain, you don't have data of where you stand. So when we talk about the human body and how it operates in the rule of thirds, we're constantly navigating through the rule of thirds because we're constantly navigating through different stimulus, through life, different processes at a different age, at a different set of variables, and different parts of life, seasons of life. So if you try to remove all pain, potential injury, you've removed being human and you turn into a robot. Nobody likes robots and nobody can operate as a robot. We can live all good, but you'd be a horrible human because you don't have any structure for the understanding of each. You have to have bad to understand good. You have to have good to understand bad. And we have to have those in order to process through life correctly and grow and change. Humans aren't net zero ever. From the minute you're born, you're processing, growing, and changing. And in order to process, grow, and change, you have to have pain and injury. You have to have struggle and strife. Those things just happen through life.
And this goes back to, if you think about it, any pain is just alerting us to something that we need to pay attention to. Yeah. Pain is just, hey, pay attention. So if you have knee pain, that could be telling you, hey, the way you're squatting right now is not conducive to your knee. The form is bad and it's pushing on something that is not meant to be pushed on in a way that is not meant to happen. So if you have knee pain, it's alerting you that either you need to strengthen something, you need to change your form. There's some sort of change that needs to happen there. If you get back pain or neck pain, let's say tension lives in your neck, sometimes that pain is alerting you, hey, you're stressed out right now and you need a break. A lot of times I feel physical pain before my brain says, hey, we're stressed out. I can take on a lot of stress and I don't even realize that I'm dealing with stress until my body alerts me, and I'll have like really bad neck pain, or I have poor mobility of my neck, and it'll hurt to like turn a certain way, or I don't have the ability to move my neck as much as I normally do. And that's telling me, hey, I need to focus on taking a break, or I need some rest this weekend, or I need to offload some things from my plate and create more space in my schedule, because right now I don't have enough freedom. If you think about what the injury or what that's telling you is, I can't see enough of what's around me. If I have neck pain and I have limited mobility, I'm not able to see what's going on around me. I'm too tense. I'm too tight.
What you said is so paramount to understand.
I do say smart things.
Your best ability is availability. If you don't have space, you can't operate correctly. You cannot get the fundamental movements down if you don't have availability. Our whole mobility practice is based on creating space. If we don't have space in the hips, we don't have space in the body available for movement, and then things start falling apart. Same thing with the sickness. You and I both got sick last week. I knew 100% I was taking on a lot of variables. I was training again. I was moving on some new clients. We were changing some things around. Things were getting very busy and very fast. And I knew, I could feel it coming on. My body said, all right, Chris, it's time to chill the fuck out a little bit. Mm-hmm. Like I'm going to force you to take a break because you're not allowing the space to happen. So I'm going to find a way to make you create space, sleep and time off, relaxation a little bit. Pain is so important in your life that the bottom rule of thirds is so important. I think if we measured the three for 1, 2, and 3 of importance, pain and the bottom third are the most important. It's the most amount of data.
Well, it's good information that's alerting us to something we need to pay attention to. That's why we did the episode with Dr. Karen talking about anxiety and why anxiety is actually a good thing. Anxiety alerts us that we need to take action. A deep negative emotion is alerting us that we feel some sort of danger, we're in some sort of pain, or we're in some sort of stressful situation that we need to pay attention to. So if you think about it, these are really informative signals that our body is giving to us, or that our brain is giving to us, and allows us to take a pause and to think. If we don't take the pause and we don't think, and we don't choose how we want to view the situation moving forward in a constructive manner, we're missing an opportunity for growth. Because if you think about it, like as we both got sick, right? And after you were kind of on the tail end of it, I started getting the congestion and horrible brain fog, and I was down for the count last weekend, and I just accepted it and said, you know what? Like, me trying to actually do things right now is going to be a waste of effort and a waste of energy. And right now my body is fighting off whatever this cootie is, and it needs to have time to do that. And so I just bellied up on the couch for 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, and enjoyed. I made a conscious decision because I was feeling super guilty about not getting stuff done. And, this is a wasted weekend. And, I could tell myself all these negative things, but I also had to tell myself the reality of this situation is I've been going so hard that my body needed to take a break. And it did that for me because I wasn't cognitively aware that needed to happen. And I was going so hard. And so saying to myself, actively saying, you know what, I'm going to choose to enjoy this nice little break. And so it shifted my mindset and I became much more at peace with the whole thing, stopped guilting myself about not getting anything done. And I started just enjoying sitting on the couch and relaxing.
So here's an interesting fact. There is a disease called CIP, congenital insensitivity to pain, also known as congenital analgesia, or you can't feel pain. Nerve endings don't fire correctly. You can actually break your ankle and not even know. Do you know what happens to those people? They die quickly because your body is sending signals with pain. They don't know when their head hurts. They don't know when their body hurts. They don't know when they're put under too much pressure and it has produced pain.
Mm-hmm.
So their body continuously presses and goes and goes and goes and goes. And then it just says, hey, listen, we've reached a threshold that we can't understand anymore. We've gone too far and we're done. It starts to shut down because there are no signals of pain. This is where I think it gets absolutely fascinating. We've attempted to live in a world where we feel no pain, so much so that we're now in a digital world that the body does not matter, therefore pain does not exist. The issue is now nothing exists. We live in this very strange world now where a lot of things are just very ambiguous. Ambiguity causes hella trauma to the system because you've lost all structure. The rule of thirds is the structure for life. You have to embrace all three in order to live a productive, healthy, manageable, successful life. We have to have the bottom. I know I've said it a couple of times now, but I think that bottom third is very, very beneficial because, like I said, it's the most amount of data. Christmas morning when you got a bunch of presents at your family's house, you're not consuming a lot of data. It's a lot of euphoria. It's a lot of happiness. It's like the greatest time, right? Or like on a birthday or like on a really good first date. You're just really amped up. This is really great. How much more data do you consume? Do you remember from the argument with your spouse? You remember a lot more. You remember the things. You start going back in time and you're like, oh, I remember that thing that they did and this thing that they did. When you're in a euphoric state and you're happy, you don't remember those things because your body is avoiding potential pain and injury. So it's saying, hey, listen, I'm going to consume this data at a furious rate so I can put these stop gaps in place to avoid potential pain and injury. So we need to understand that if we have a little bit of knee pain, that's actually a good thing. Tell me, body, tell me what's going on. If I have a little bit of stomach pain after I eat something, awesome. What did I consume? How fast did I consume it? Where did I consume it? And what's going on? My body's telling me something. It's not that you have an issue. It's that you have a really awesome system that is built to warn you and tell you that there's problems. And you're choosing to either pay attention to the system or avoid it. I hardly ever take any kind of painkiller like a Tylenol or an ibuprofen or any kind of medicine when I don't feel good because I want the data. I have to have the data in order to understand where to go with these stimulus. I mean, I broke my toe, dropped a 50-pound dumbbell on it, and it was all big and nasty and purple looking. And I took, I think, 2 ibuprofens the first night, and then I just taped them together, and they were fine. But if I masked the problem, i.e. I took like a decent-sized painkiller, I would not understand that I was sleeping in a way that was pressing on the toe and probably wouldn't let it heal better. I actually produced a better outcome because I felt the pain throughout the day and corrected it. Also didn't adjust my gait, my walk, or my hips at all because I intentionally kept the pattern of the normal pattern I had so I didn't have any issues. what was it, 4 weeks later, 5 weeks later, we went to Denver and competed in nationals.
Yeah, we did.
We did, yes. I will always say we because you're as invested or more than I am. But I think it's
that was a
important.
tough competition for me.
It was. You had to put up some real wackadoos on that one.
Mostly you.
Yeah, I know. Throwing some fits. But I think it's really cool. The whole concept of this talk here is to talk about the rule of thirds and that pain and pressure are good.
Well, and I think if we can shift to a place of gratitude where we're grateful for the pain and we're grateful for the stress that shows up in our lives, because those are arguably the most important messages that we need to receive. Andy Grammer, who I am absolutely obsessed with. Andy, if you're listening to this podcast episode, I love you.
If you're listening to this podcast episode, this acoustic concert that you did last time or one-man band thing was fucking epic.
Epic.
Well done, brother.
Yes.
Well done.
Yes. So praise Andy Grammer. And he's got this song called I Wish You Pain.
Yeah.
And he'll tell you about this if you ever go see him in concert. He wrote this song for the people that he loves because he's wishing pain for them, because with pain comes the most progress, the most growth, and arguably the most important lessons learned in life come from painful experiences or moments or memories. And if you wish someone pain, it's actually wishing the best for them. And it sounds twisted and weird, but it's the smartest message. If you think back to the moments in your life that have been the hardest and most painful, you learn the most from them. You've probably made big decisions because of those things. You've probably learned important lessons and done things different in your life because of those things. You know, through pain becomes purpose and progress and learning. So I think if we can shift our mindset to thinking like pain is a good thing, it's not all bad, and figure out why it's actually helping us when we're in the moment, and it'll help us spend less time in the negative emotions and move towards a place of acceptance and peace, because that's really where progress happens, is when you can accept the pain and say, okay, what is this trying to tell me?
Because it's just data. Right? It's not that the world is happening to you and it's bearing down on you and some almighty being is smiting you at that time. This is happening for a reason. Let's look at our life. Let's look at what happened. What choices did we make? How did we end up here? Who is in my life? That's also a very important one. Who is in my life at this point in time, and why are things happening? And if we can be honest with ourselves and we can be clear with the fact that we want a better outcome, all we're doing is taking in data. This life is just a big old giant science experiment anyways, and we're just consuming variables. What is happening? Why is it happening? And why is this the outcome? Where do I feel pain? I ask my clients all the time, if you feel pain, I want you to tell me. Pain and pressure are different. Pressure is I hurt all over, like my legs feel very tired or sore or burning right now. Awesome. I want that all the time. Pain is it hurts right here. I can pinpoint the pain. That is exceptional data for a good trainer, because that is telling me that now something in your movement pattern is off and I get to fix it. I get to help you find where the pain point is, and we've pressed our threshold of current capability out to the point where we get pain. That is a great set of data. We reverse a little bit. We find out how to manipulate or change the pain point and push it off farther. And then what we've done is we've created progress through pain. It's the same thing you do with your emotions. It's the same thing you do with your relationships. We're going to press each other until it's like, okay, we've crossed the line. How did we cross the line? What's going on? Where is this pain point? Let's talk about the pain point, reverse a little bit, build some structure around that, and progress.
One of my favorite yoga instructors, Gretchen, she and I had a conversation. I don't even know how it got brought up, but it was before a class, and she and I were talking about pain in the body, and she said, it just tells us where we need to get stronger. I was like, well, what a profound thought. You know, I broke my wrist in a CrossFit workout.
Shocker.
Yeah, I know. I don't know, probably 4 years ago. Okay. So I have a screw in my left hand. Got into a car accident this year, right? And broke my hand, same hand. Well, what if the reason I needed to break my wrist was to strengthen that wrist because my left hand was going to be catching the airbag in a car accident a year later? And because my wrist is that much stronger because of the screw in it, maybe that needed to happen in order to withstand that airbag deployment and protect my face.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm literally just like spitballing here, but what if that is the purpose of that injury? And the strengthening and coming back from injury was to prepare me for another tough situation that my left hand was going to have to endure.
Well, there's no doubt. I mean,
but during the time when I broke my wrist at CrossFit, I thought it was the worst thing ever. And like, this was going to be the end of my fitness career. I mean, literally thought I was going to be done working out. Like, and then one of my coaches was like, no, you can still work out. Like, you still have a whole half of body that you can do stuff with. So you're still going to be working out. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I guess I'll get back in the saddle. But at the time, I was so down in the dumps about it. And I thought this was like the biggest setback ever. And it was going to be the end of the world. And you know, looking at it now, it's like, I'm grateful that that happened. I'm grateful that my hand was strong enough to withstand that car accident. And I'm grateful that that hand breaking healed in 3 weeks, which is like absolutely unheard of. I feel like for as broken as it was, I saw on the x-ray that those bones were like shattered.
Yeah, it was snapped.
Yeah. And it came back and my hand is just as strong as it ever was.
Mm-hmm.
I can do everything.
Yeah.
And it made me stronger. And because I had already gone through it one time mentally, the second time, I knew exactly how to handle it. And I actually embraced it. I used that time to go get a blowout a couple times because I was like, well, I can't shampoo my own hair, so I'm going to have somebody else do it for me. And shout out to Haley, who gave me my blowouts. I got to pamper myself for a few weeks. How awesome was that? I like turned a negative thing into a positive thing because I'd already been down that road once before and was like, oh, I know how to handle a broken left hand. Like, I've done this.
Look at the body knowledge you have coming off of an injury, though. You understand more about how your body operates.
Yeah.
Your wrist, what structure you can handle, how much pain or how much pressure you can handle, what's going on. You understand the repercussions of surgery. You understand how fast you can repair. You understand the basic premise that motion is lotion. The more you move around, the more that thing's going to be able to pull in nutrients, good blood. It's not going to stay stagnant. You're going to be able to use it more and more each day. It will heal correctly. The human body is the most powerful fucking organism on the planet. So much so, with all of our science and capability, we still have no idea how it operates. We have basic premises, but we still have no idea. It is so unbelievably powerful that we cannot even fathom the amount of stress and pain it can take in and grow. If you stomp on a flower outside, it will die. If you push hard on the body consistently, it will grow. It is so fucking cool. It is so cool that it is literally measurable and repeatable. You can measure and repeat the amount of pressure you put on the body and induce more growth. That is fascinating to me, meaning it will grow through pain and pressure. In fact, it will not grow if there's not pain and pressure. You look at somebody that sits down on a consistent basis, I can tell you immediately if somebody has an office job when they come in to see me. Immediately.
I feel really triggered right now.
But if you just look at the human system as a benefit, there is a benefit to the human system to have a negative, to have pressure and pain, then we reframe our whole life. Our whole life is not now this eternal chase for the living of lifestyle of happiness where I'm laying down, where people are, fanning me with palm tree leaves and feeding me grapes. That life would suck. You would enjoy it for about 15 minutes, and then you'd want pressure and pain. You want to find out where you are in life. That's why the gym is addictive, because you want to figure out what else is in there. I'm a firm believer that once people start understanding their power, they are completely changed, almost violently changed. It is so drastic, the 180 that happens when people realize their power and potential, that is the entire reason I do what I do and have dumped my life into this. Because once you watch somebody get unlocked, once you watch them understand that pain, the bottom third, is good for them, then they actually intentionally seek out pressure and pain because they want a better top third. The only way to create a better top third is to have a more intense bottom third, intentionally. It's absolutely beautiful.
I think if there's one takeaway from this conversation, it's pain allows you to make progress towards your potential.
It's a requirement. You have to have pressure and pain. I think if we could leave this conversation, if you're driving in your car or whatever, and you're listening to this, or wherever the heck you're listening to this, take a look at your life and find out where the pressure points are.
What's painful right now?
And be thankful for those.
And why? Why are you thankful? Why is that pain or that pressure helpful? If you can answer that, you're going to get from this place of negativity or destructive emotion and shift to a place of constructive emotion and gratitude and acceptance.
The bottom third will not bury you anymore. The bottom third will build you. And what a beautiful place, man. Ugh.
Amen.
You got to say it.
And a woman.
It's not what I was going for, but it's fantastic.
Kiley out.
Boom.
Thanks for listening to Redefining Resilience.
To learn more about building your mental and physical readiness, check out odysseyresilience.org.
And follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok.